We have our next speaker that we have coming forward is Emmy Miners. She is the founder of Lacey's Hope Project, focusing on ending the social injustice issues of sex trafficking and drug abuse. Her project is named in tribute to a friend who lost her life to a trafficker, and also Emmy's given name by her trafficker. Lacey's Hope represents the promise of change, restoration, and healing. She's an accomplished leader, community activist, and a speaker having a vast array of knowledge and inspiration for others. She's also recognized by many in the mainstream industry of publishing with her story and voice for change. Welcome, a true leader from our community and a friend of mine, Emmy Miners.
Gosh, you guys, I don't know how I'm going to follow that. Thank you for that, by the way. Didn't make me any more nervous. Okay, so I'm just getting over a cold. So excuse me if I have to cough. Hello, everyone. My name is Emmy. It's truly an honor to be here with you tonight. I was a chaplain. I am a crisis intervention specialist, a licensed administrator for assisted living facilities, a mental health coach, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. And last year, I too also have stuff written down, but we're going to take this a different direction. Last year was one of the worst years since I've gotten out of the life of trafficking. I want to read a little excerpt of every morning I do devotion. I stay strict on a routine. It's what works for me. And I've been struggling. 2 weeks ago, I was driving my car thinking about where I could drive my car off. That would kill me. But I couldn't do it. Can't do it because I have a 7-year-old. He who observes the wind and waits for all conditions to be favorable will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. Today's scripture reminds us to be diligent to do the things we need to do most. Most of us have a lot to do. When we procrastinate, we never say to ourselves, I'm not going to do this thing I need to do. We merely tell ourselves we'll do it later. I stand before you not just as a professional or someone that has achieved great career goals or titles, but someone who has a story, someone that is a survivor. Someone just told me yesterday that was supposed to be close to me, Emmy, no family will ever want you to take care of their loved ones when you're selling your ass, and I quote. It hit hard. As someone who has walked through darkness and lived to tell a story, it's so profound and painful and messy and a blessing, all wrapped into one cluster. I was trafficked as a young adult, and that's not an easy thing to say out loud or admit to a full room of strangers. But for the last 10 years or so, I have been sharing my personal story and journey in hopes to help someone, hoping that someone can relate, hoping that I stop someone from being trafficked. Because if you don't know, trafficking just doesn't happen overnight. We don't just choose to be trafficked. I didn't wake up and say, I want to be a prostitute. I want to be trafficked. Those were not my admirations as a young child. I had other things on that list, and God had mighty other plans. And honestly, looking back, I wouldn't change any of my story because I have hopes that it will help educate and help prevent. But I'm going to tell you, I stopped speaking a couple of years ago. I didn't feel worthy. I stopped feeling worthy. I had created, and I have a lot of great people in my life, I had created, when I got sober, I got out of the life, I started Lacey's Hope Project, and it was all one after another. If you ask people, they would say, you're speaking too soon. You're not healed. You're not anywhere close to being able to speak. But I was. I did it. I achieved great things. I have trained over 200,000 people, and I created this little safe box that Emmy lived in. I have the car, the house, the kid, the career, pretty smile, pretty face. I had it all. And I would do anything to protect my reputation. And then I came back to my hometown of Hartford because that's where one of my assisted livings is. And I'm like, I have to do any and everything to show people that I'm a different person. So I would smile through all of the pain, all of the sorrow. Now, I've been in counseling the entire time. I have a trauma counselor. I have a lot of great people. I have contacts at the FBI. I have a victim advocate, victim specialist. I have all these great people in my life, Lori being one of them. I mean, I can shout out so many people that have been a constant and that have not dropped by my side. But this is a journey of shame, self-acceptance, perseverance, survival. And while I was being trafficked, I was right here in these communities. So when I came back to Hartford, the most important thing to me, like you said, the most important thing was making sure that picture didn't show up on social media. Well, the most important thing to me was how everyone's going to proceed. I can't let them see me sweat. I can't let them know that I'm not okay because I am supposed to be the survivor leader of the community. The holy grail, the end all be all of application and sobriety and sex trafficking and drug addiction and all of these things. Is that hitting me? Yeah? Okay, cool. And it worked until it didn't, right? And this box started to crack and break last year. And last year I was hanging on by a thread. I've been diagnosed with PTSD, chronic complex PTSD, anxiety, ADHD, panic disorder. I mean, the list goes on. The difference between Adam and I, unlike Adam when I got my diagnoses, I said, okay, I'm going to smile. I'm going to be pretty. I'm going to continue in my career. And I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to disassociate from it. So I'm going to pretend like it's not there. You guys aren't going to see any of it. You might see a tear here or there. And nobody will know. Well, I'm here to tell you 10 and a half years later, that was a shitty plan on my behalf. It did not, and excuse my French, but it did not work. It worked until it didn't. And now I've had to up my counseling. I've had to accept some things about myself, take part for, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I guess let's talk about where my story starts to shift. Because it's not like you heal and you get better. I don't think we ever get better or are completely healed. I think God gives us a way to continue to make life easier as long as we continue to seek Him. So over the last couple of weeks, I had to make a pros and cons list, and I had to really think about what's important, what's changed. How do I continue on in my career? Because I'm ready to bail. My thoughts are, I'm gonna move out of state, nobody's gonna know me, I'm gonna take my child, I'm gonna drag my child's father with me, because he's gonna have to go, and anybody I love is gonna have to go. We're all going to Florida, I'm moving to the beach, and it's gonna be a wrap from there. But I know from an active addiction that changing a state does not make the problems, does not make the root problems go away. So when I had escaped the life, I thought the worst was behind me. But trauma doesn't vanish because you change your surroundings. During those years, I battled drug addiction. It was my way to numb the pain, to escape the memories, to survive the moment. And addiction is its own kind of prison. So my story starts to shift. The real healing begins and continues a decade later. Not because things got magically easier, but because I decided to fight for myself. And because God never stopped fighting for me. I was in a counseling session last week talking to Yvonne, that's my counselor's name. She's a Christian counselor, and she said, Emmy, Jesus is going to carry you right now because you can't carry yourself. And I thought, tears started rolling down my face. And it was true. Because how would I be standing here? How would I make it through all of that darkness, all of those trials, to get over here? God has anointed me and given me favor to share my testimony. And I'm standing here today to tell you that I don't have to paint a pretty picture that I was a survivor, and then I got sober, and then this happened or that happened, and I'm, out of abusive relationships, all that. It's okay to stand here and thank you, Jordan and Adam, for setting the stage that it's okay to not be okay. I decided to fight for myself. I remember at certain points in my life sleeping in my car. Why God? Why me? I just had a conversation with God last week. I was not happy. I was not happy. I was sick. Going through a lot, right? There's a lot of different diagnoses, right, that come into play. And over time, I started to hear the whispers of the Holy Spirit that I am still worthy. And in my career, so many people try to bring me down, especially being a leader, being a boss, right? I'm at the top. And it's not an easy job. But I know that I'm chosen because I'm standing here. I know that this was scheduled tonight for me to talk. Because 2 weeks ago, I was thinking about where I was going to drive my car and kill myself. Because mental health and healing is an ebb and flow process. It is not linear. It does not have to be linear. It is messy. It is ugly. It is beautiful. It is so many different things, but it is not perfect. And God does not expect us to be perfect. God never once said, child, I expect perfectionism from you. My Jesus didn't say that. My God said, my child, I love you no matter what. No matter what, you're worthy to me. No matter what, I keep you on green pastures. I keep your head with water. I bring you to the depths of everything going on, but only if you look to me. So while I was making that closing I haven't been doing my devotion. I haven't been seeking God. So I'm driving my car last weekish, begging God, please come back, help me find you again. It's only been a few weeks, a few months, whatever, that I've been off my schedule, but help me because I need you. And it's okay. It's not linear, it's hard, it's humbling, but it's holy and messy at best. Every time I stumbled, every time I wanted to get up, God reminded me to keep going. There is more for you. I cannot believe simultaneously that I got out of the life, I got sober, I never died at the hands of my trafficker, never died at the hands of my abuser, even though I've been strangled, beat, raped, branded. None of that ever took me out. To not be standing here and not have a purpose. So Lori, thank you. Oh, you're crying, you're gonna make me cry. Stop it. So thank you because you have been around this whole time. And God knew, you knew, God put it on your heart and put it on my heart, right? So that's how it works, right? God speaks to us through people. And Lori's texting me, can you speak? And I'm like, well, I said to somebody, what am I going to talk about? I'm supposed to talk about healing? I'm not healed. I'm far from healed. They want me to come talk about mental health? How am I supposed to help people when I can't even help myself? But I have to believe that there's a purpose because we have to believe in something bigger than ourselves. This isn't the end. I didn't heal overnight. I didn't get clean from hard drugs overnight. Recovery, just like healing, it's not linear. Every time I stumbled, every time I wanted to give up, I was told to keep going. My papers are out of order. I'm so used to speaking on trafficking and drug addiction that this is a very new platform for me. So just bear with me. I've learned that true strength doesn't come from hiding the parts of your story. It comes from being real about them. So last year when my box started to crack, y'all, you wanna know what I did? Do you know that only a small, I'm not gonna say the number, I think it's like 2%-ish, stay out of the life, that get out of the life? About, right? Yeah, pretty sure it's about 2%. Only 2% of people in the life stay out of the life. Now I know many survivors. It took me 12 years before I thought, this is last year, okay, around Christmas, around the time I wanted to give up and kill myself. And thought the world was ending and that my life was falling apart. So the only thing I could think of was, I'm gonna post pictures on a website, it's called sugarbabies.com. I'm gonna post pictures on a website, I'm gonna sell the pictures. If I get enough money, I can pay my bills, I can get out of my career, my mental health will be better, and then I'll be alive. That's all I can think about. And some of you may be thinking, wow, who does that? She was trafficked, that was forceful. But who thinks about going back to life? And I want to touch base on this. This is a really raw subject right now. Only about 2% stay out of life. I know probably, several hundred survivors. Almost all of them, including them being survivor leaders, authors from around the United States, have all gotten out of the life, went back in, got out, went back in, got out, went back in. I'm surprised it took me 12 years to say, hey, I'm gonna sell some pictures. Now, with that being said, by the grace of God, I contacted Neil Lofty at the FBI. He used to work for the Human Trafficking Division, and now he's in a different sector, whatever, I don't know. And I said, hey, Neil, I'm talking to this guy. He said he's going to pay my bills, but it just seems too good to be true. Like, this can't be right. So we talked about it. I knew I could go to him because anybody that works in the anti-trafficking world knows that this is not unusual. That most survivors go back to what was normal for us. That was normal for me. It doesn't have to be normal for you. You don't have to understand it, but it was normal for me. It was my normal. So when the going gets tough, yeah, my brain is programmed 12 years later. Well, I can do this. And then everything is going to be okay. And Neil said to me, Emmy, I think you know as well as I do. Fast money is never easy money, and this is not a good idea. And I thought about it. Some events took place, and I never went through with it. But the thought was there. Because healing is not linear, and God doesn't expect me to be perfect. So you cannot sit in this place of worship and maybe think in the back of your mind, really, this is our speaker. It is. Because this is about trauma, this is about mental health. So if I'm going to get back into Lacey's Hope Project, my passion, if I'm going to reignite my flame with the help of God, then I am going to be authentically me and let you guys know that no, it's not easy. No, you don't just go from getting strangled and raped every day, getting beat and branded, and on drugs, and homeless, and walking the streets, and not eating for days, not sleeping for days, to a picture-perfect life. Do you know how unrealistic that is? So I ask all of you, I challenge all of you, if you see someone struggling in your community, if you work with survivors, domestic violence, sexual abuse, first responders, anybody, just like Jordan said, just like Adam said, anybody that is struggling with mental health, it does not have to be perfect. And you are not a true follower of Christ. Because remember, our Jesus, he washed the feet of the broken, the dirty feet. Do you know what those people were walking in? He washed that from their feet. The murderers, the prostitutes, the sinners. There's so many examples in the Bible. Long story short, I was exhausted from pretending I had it all together. Whew, that was 10 years, let me tell you. And with the people that I have in my life now, and the females that I have in my life that actually understand me, and that I can talk to, that don't judge me, and that have said, hey, Emmy, it's okay, or hey, Emmy, you need to look at this part of you. You need to be real with yourself. You need to be honest with yourself. Let's talk about it. I'm in so much better of a place. Like I said, what a perfect timing to be sharing this testimony. They couldn't have come better at any better of timing. To be struggling with mental health, and then I'm supposed to stand up here and talk about mental health. I'm like, how do I do that? How do I do that? I don't even know how to do that. How do I do that? You can't talk about mental health while you're struggling through mental health. That makes no sense. But then I heard Jordan, I heard Adam, and I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can do this because I had these pretty little papers written up that I was going to talk about, okay? And it wasn't going to touch on it. It was only going to touch on one part. It was going to touch on the website things. I thought that was important to share. But it wasn't going to touch on any of the ugly parts. Because why would I do that? That would ruin what you guys think of me. But it's okay to not be okay. You matter. Your story matters, okay? Your grandchildren, your children, your sisters, your brothers, your daughters, your friends. We all know someone who is struggling. We all know someone who is not okay. And it's usually the people that appear the most put together, that appear the most polished, that are hurting the most. And that's exactly what I was. I would step out in my little business skirt, my nice blazer, show up at work with a smile. I would talk and present, and you had no idea I was dying inside. In fact, this was one of the first churches I spoke at. This is one of the places. This is one of the places where it all began. And lo and behold, this is a place where it's restarting. Where I'm saying, okay, I'm going to get back doing this. I stepped back from speaking because I didn't feel I had a purpose. I didn't feel I had a story. I didn't feel I was worthy. And I was so wrong. I was letting the devil take over. And instead of rebuking the devil, I just let him keep coming and coming and coming. He kept coming for me, and I was taking his bait. And it almost killed me. And I almost just fell over if you didn't catch that. So your story matters. Your healing matters. Be open-minded. I ask all of you to be open-minded. God's not done with us. Healing varies person to person. It will never be linear. Even for the person that was not trafficked, that did not go through addiction, that maybe says they don't have mental health diagnoses, maybe you don't. But do you ever feel sad? Do you ever just want to give up? Do you ever want to scream? Now imagine being diagnosed and wanting to escape your body. There's not a single thing you can do but pray and look to God. We all have a story. Let's embrace it. Let's lift one another up. There is so much hate in the world. We do not need more hate. We need to love one another. Love thy neighbor. That's what the Bible says, is to love thy neighbor. So love your neighbor. Don't cast the first stone. We have social media. We have press, we have the media. We have all these things that are teaching us to be so hateful. We don't need that. We need each other. And most importantly, we need God. We need God above all else to get us through the world that we live in. This podium should have like tape on bottom where I just want to say. I clearly don't stand still. But with all of that being said, I want you guys to look up Genesis 50. It is such a beautiful verse. No, I don't know it off the top of my head. I thought there were Bibles under the seat, and there's not. I came across that verse the other day, and I thought, wow, this one's for me. Yeah, you can read it. Yeah.
As for you, evil on evil against you. God meant to love you for the past, as it is this day. Now therefore, fear ye not. I will deliver
devil meant me for evil, and here I stand. When I was working at Quad Graphics, I'm going to wrap up because I didn't know my bedtime. I stick to that routine. It is 8, so almost 8:30. So I wanna close, but when I worked at Quad Graphics, okay, now I'm just out of life. I'm still in jail. I'm on fever, so I'm very rough around the edges. And someone says to me, Emmy, if you can stay sober, you're going to be a force to be reckoned with. Now, a lot of people don't like me, or jealous of me, or the lengths that I have gone to get to where I am and who I am. But I am a force to be reckoned with. You will continue to see me. So if you need a speaker, I'm your girl, okay? Help me get back into my purpose, y'all, okay? Because I cannot do it on my own. But I can do it with all of you and through Christ himself. Thank you all for coming tonight.